so little, my dad told me to eat some.
It's all right.
That's about as I thought.
125.6. He's trying to get to 122. Is that what he'd like to wrestle at?
Yes, for sectionals.
3 pounds. How hard is that going to be for an already skinny young man like him?
Hard?
He'll drift 1.5 pounds overnight, or
160?
Conservatively, we'll say a pound, so your own weight, or 160.8.
Very difficult.
Okay.
Hey, this is Tony Madson. We're getting ready to send off the St. Michael High School wrestling team, consisting of these young men right here, including Coach Adam Hicks. Coach Hicks, I want you to take a little bit over. Tell me a little bit about your players, where you're headed, what the format is, and what you're going to be doing for the next few days.
Sure. So we're going to be heading to our Super Sectional tournament in Montgomery, Alabama. This is a qualifying tournament for the state tournament in Huntsville the following weekend. To my left, I have Chase Patterson here, a senior 157-pounder, competing in that weight class. And then also first-time wrestler, first year at Peyton Sidwell, 8th grade, and 122 pounds. And it's a double elimination tournament, so about 20 to 25 kids per bracket. And we're looking to put on hopefully our best performance of the season, fixing our mistakes throughout this whole year as we go, and also this last week really emphasizing our conditioning and just getting ready to as we finish up and wrap up our regular season here with this last practice.
Highlight the each season for each individual wrestler, if you would, for me. Just real quick, like give me 30 seconds on each wrestler.
Sure. Chase Patterson, so 16-10 on the year. You enter into the postseason, the sectional tournament with the number 6 seed. It looks like out of about 24 kids, so not a bad spot to be in. How do you feel about your upcoming tournament?
I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm going to do pretty good this season, or sectionals. I feel like I'm going to make state. So.
Okay, that's the goal. So glad to hear. And over here, Peyton Sidwell, your first tournament. Any nerves, and how are we feeling heading into? I know we have some weight cut to be able to make happen. How do we feel going into our first postseason?
I feel really great. I feel like it's a really good accomplishment for an 8th grader like me to really have the drive and determination to make it through a whole wrestling season. I mean, I'm pretty unexperienced, and I'm trying to cut weight, but y'all been helping me through that, and I think it's going to be a really good experience.
Well, I'm proud of both of these guys as they get ready for this postseason, and we're looking forward to putting on our best performance. Thanks.
Now, the state tournament itself, you guys are going to be taking off tomorrow evening to head up to the tournament. Is this a one and done? If they wrestle once and they lose, they're done, or is there any wrestle back?
So as I mentioned earlier, this is double elimination, so there is wrestle backs for the postseason. So you lose 2 and we're out. So we're trying to make it to Friday. So Thursday, a lot of wrestling coming up all day Thursday. Weigh-ins begin early, around 7:30 a.m. Wrestling to begin around 10 a.m., I believe. Don't quote me on that. But a lot of wrestling to do Thursday. If we make it to Friday, I think we make it to states. So that's going to be the goal this weekend.
What are kind of your expectations to come out of the? I see you said your goal, but give me some like realistic expectations. Can each one of these guys, how far can they go in the tournament?
Sure. So we're looking to see improvements. There's a lot of 1A, 4A schools we've seen throughout the year, and of course Peyton being first year, Chase is a second-year wrestler. We see some of the same kids, so I'm looking to see us kind of perform well against kids we're familiar with, and also, see improvements here and there, little mistakes. Maybe not that the other kids are better wrestlers, but just the mistakes we've made and learned through experience. We'll be able to fix those things and just see improvement here at sectionals. And of course, the goal is always to win. So we're not going out there whether we're a lower seed or going against a number 1 seed or a returning state qualifier. We're looking to go out there and to win every match. So that's the goal. And, we fall short, we learn, and we move on. And, I think this postseason is kind of a reward for these guys putting in the effort throughout the whole season. They've been here, every practice that they can make and have a lot of experience throughout the year that'll be valuable going into this postseason tournament.
What about the off season? We're looking at going into the second off season and into the third season of wrestling here at St. Michael. What can these guys expect in the off season as far as training or any kind of conditioning?
Sure. Well, unfortunately, Chase is graduating, so he'll be leaving this off season. But if he's around to help out, he's more than welcome to. He's been a big part of the program these first 2 years. So Peyton, and then also we'll advertise tryouts. We'll advertise some things first to try and again build up that interest. Again, we have a lot of kids from first year of St. Michael Wrestling that I'd like to try to reach back out, pull back into the program, and try to develop a culture around that. And so I'm looking forward to holding a tryout, and then also following AHSA rules, just having as many off-season workouts, becoming familiar with the technique so that it's not just so much playing catch-up throughout, once football season's over, heading into the winter sports. That we'll be able to hit the ground running. And a lot of schools are doing that in this area. The knowledge, the experience of wrestling in Lower Alabama and Baldwin County has been growing year over year. Noticeable growth in the interest, both in attendance and in the numbers and in the quality as well. So we're looking forward to keeping pace and trying to maybe and just grow St. Michael Wrestling to where I know it can be.
Now, we recently had the Senior Bowl here in Mobile, and there was a gentleman, an offensive lineman from, I believe it was Jacksonville State, who said that every offensive lineman should try out for wrestling. Mm-hmm. What besides perhaps that position? It almost seems like that seems intuitive. Is there other positions, other sports that could really benefit from a wrestling background?
Sure. Anything where leverage kind of, I preach a lot of technique here and you use the word physics a lot. All right. We apply physics and, but from a lineman standpoint, that center of balance, that hand control, the hand fighting, things of that nature come into play. It's hard to describe because they are so two totally different, distinct sports. I feel that wrestling is the toughest. It's an individual sport. You're not going out there with a whole team out there, side by side with you when you're going in to compete. So it's a very much an individual sport and very rewarding in that sense as well. And I believe that positions on the football field, all benefit from an off season or in season of wrestling. And, and we can use our off season to kind of advertise that as football preps up for the following fall season. We'll try and get, football players into the tryouts, into the practice room. So they don't feel maybe so overwhelmed on the technique side. You could take your best athlete from football or any sport and throw them into wrestling their first year and they're going to struggle. This is a very unique sport in that sense that, technique, knowledge applies, counts for a lot. So we're going to try and, be able to establish that culture early in the off season and have that carry over into the season where it's not so rocky trying to recruit at the last minute.
Hey, let me get one more kind of a line of thought from your senior there. Tell me a little bit about what you brought out of your wrestling career the last 2 seasons and what you thought it helped you do besides wrestle.
Go ahead, Chase.
I think with wrestling, it brings out, you're supposed to be humble. If you win, if you lose, you're supposed to still keep your dignity. That's what Coach always says, and it feels like that's probably the best thing to keep with you, like after the sport. And I want to teach you like physical strength, your limits, how far you should push yourself to be a better person, better athlete, and just mentality too. Because
speaking about your mentality, I don't mean to interrupt you, but your coach mentioned that it's a one-on-one sport, and that's very unique.
Yeah.
How did you kind of handle that? You walk out there, there's nobody else out there to pat your back or anything like that.
Well,
how did you feel? Like, you're going out there, you're representing St. Michael, but you're all by yourself.
Yeah. Well, I usually think about it like, even if I win or lose, still have to watch out for my teammate, like cheer them on too, because it's a team sport in some cases. But then as soon as it comes to like you on the mat, you're just fighting for your life, trying to win, trying to do good for your team. So.
Good answer. Awesome. Great. All right. Let me draw on the experience of the 8th grader. Just the last few minutes before we send you off to state. Tell us just a little bit about this will be your first year of wrestling, correct?
Yes, sir.
What made you come out for wrestling, and what made you stick with it all season? And what did you learn from it itself? What did you bring out of it for yourself?
The reason I came to wrestling is because I just had a lot of steam to blow off. I was just super agitated at myself and at the whole world. And what made me stick through it was my coach, my friends here, my parents. They just helped me push right through it. And I believe that the longer I was in it, the better of a person I'd become, the more steam I'd let off. And I'd learn that I would be able to win with humility and lose with dignity. And that's pretty much what I got out of it. It's not about the world revolves around you, especially when you lose. When you lose, it really feels horrible. And wrestling has taught me it shouldn't feel horrible. It should make you a better person. And that's just stuck with me the whole year. And that's what helps me get out on the mat every single day.
That's a great answer. I mean, one last question as far as, again, you're on the spotlight when you walk out onto that mat. The only thing you hear is your coach's voice. How did you kind of handle that as opposed to not having any other players around you?
I'm out there by myself, but I'm not all alone. I know that's the mentality I go whenever I step out on that mat. There are people, my friends, my family, my coaches, they're all rooting for me. I got to put on a show. Got to make them proud.
Good answer. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining me. The St. Michael Wrestling Squad as they head off for the state tournament and end the second season here at St. Michael Wrestling. Thank you again. Give me one if you would. You're watching Cardinal Wrestling on WCN.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. You're watching Cardinal Wrestling on WCN.